This is how my 1992 Jeep Wrangler was transformed into a Jurassic Park replica Jeep. But this story doesn't actually begin last year when I bought my Jeep. No, it starts in 1993. December 22nd, 1993 to be exact. That was the day when I was 12 years old that I took this photo on my trusty disposable film camera of the screen-used Jurassic Park Jeep at Universal Studios. It would be this photo that 28 years later would give me one of the biggest joys of my adult life. Fast forward to 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. So this is my brand new, to me, 1992 Jeep Wrangler YJ. And I'm so excited! When I was searching for a Jeep to buy, I wasn't thinking a Jurassic Park Jeep. But after finding my Jeep and starting to see what kinds of things people were doing to YJs, I was reminded of my cousin's Jeep, which turns out to also be a red 1992 Jeep Wrangler. I searched through my scrapbooks and discovered a long-lost photo. It was then that I knew what I had to do. Through a series of very fortunate events, I discovered the Jurassic Park Motor Pool, which had a ton of resources on how to build replica Jurassic Park Jeeps. That led me to a Facebook group, which ultimately led me to Jack Foth of No Limit Customs. After speaking with Jack, I knew he was who I wanted to use to handle my conversion. I spent the next few months gathering the parts that I could, side steps, the correct wheels, getting the tow eyes fabricated, etc. What I didn't have, Jack at No Limit Customs was able to provide. Things like the correct Sahara seats, the light bar, even the whip antenna, and much more. In early February, I was ready to bring Sue, my Jeep, up to Pennsylvania for her transformation. With the Jeep 10 hours from my house, it was impossible and probably unwise for me to show up and document the process. Fortunately, Jack took a lot of photos of the progress for me. I want to share those photos and the stories behind them with you. The project started with the simple tasks. Jack painted the wheels red and painted the backside black to help hide dirt and brake dust to keep the wheels looking great even longer over time. One issue was that I didn't have the correct tires, but Jack had a perfect solution for that: stickers. By grinding down the original tire, Jack was able to apply screen-accurate stickers, giving them the correct look, for a fraction of the price of getting BF Goodrich KO2s, which wouldn't have been as accurate as the KO1s since they're not even made anymore. With the wheels and tires off, Jack also took time to paint the underside of the Jeep, giving it a nice clean black look. Next was installing the side steps. Mine didn't have side steps, so the correct steps had to be mounted to the Jeep first. Fortunately, I had found 2 sets, and it took both sets to get a single complete set, because one set had been cut improperly and was basically useless. After that, it was time to start on the body. After gutting the interior, the whole cab was painted sand beige, including the roll bars. An OEM soundbar was installed as well. The interior of the Jurassic Park Jeeps are the stock green Sahara interiors.
So green!
So Jack painted my door panels, installed and painted the correct center console, and even added door pouches that were custom made by Victor Hugo, also known as Jurassic Vic. Jack doesn't just paint the Jeep. What he does is almost a frame-on restoration. So there's a lot of little details that get cleaned up, replaced, fixed, whatever.
But you got new decals, new hood bumpers, new jack, new fender stickers, working hood light now.
Yeah. It would be nearly impossible for me to list them all. The fenders were removed because not only does Jack paint the exterior, but he paints the interior of the engine bay and firewall as well. It's a step that's usually skipped by others, but it really sells the look and makes it really hard to tell the Jeep was ever red.
This is what I like about it. There's really no way to tell that this was ever a red Jeep.
Yeah. At this point, the holes were drilled for the searchlight cables, the rear fog light, and the whip antenna. It's probably a good thing I don't have photos or videos of that, because I would have cried a little. But in the end, it was worth it. With the exterior of the Jeep sanded and prepped, it was time for prime and paint. Sand beige was laid down over the whole body, except the windshield, but we'll get to that in a minute. With the body painted and the side steps back on, the door decals were installed. This was also the point that Jack installed the front bumper and winch, and started working on the front fog lights. I wasn't able to find the actual correct fog lights, but I was able to find somebody who could 3D print a set. This was untested waters for both of us. However, after putting in probably far too many hours troubleshooting and problem solving, Jack had a working set of 3D printed fog lights installed on the Jeep. Next came the red stripes and the number decals. This is where I think we hit our next roadblock. The decals I'd ordered were too large. I'd ordered them from a recommended source, but I guess my number combination made the graphic larger than it should have been, and it wouldn't fit correctly. Luckily, Jack already had a fix for this, his own correct stencil. With the stripes and decals painted, we turned our attention to the windshield. My windshield had a nice big rust spot right in the middle of it, so Jack replaced the windshield and glass to give me a brand new showroom look. The windshield is actually painted red on the front and sand beige on the back. That's the correct way that it was done in the movie, because they simply painted red over the sand beige in the front. However, many people building these replica Jeeps end up with a red windshield. It's a small but important detail, and I'm grateful for Jack for paying attention to it. With the windshield on, Jack could install the light bar and the Jabsco searchlights. Okay, so they aren't real Jabscos. These are the Chinese knockoffs. They are almost identical in every way except the controller switches, and the knockoffs don't bounce around and shift as much. I'm pretty sure that Jack wanted to kill me all over again for all the pain in the butt things he had to deal with those controllers. In the end, we ended up settling on mounting the knockoff lights to the actual Jabsco controller switches. It was a longer and more expensive route to take, but it did provide some interesting benefits. Meaning I got the correct switches and the lights don't bounce around and they stay where I put them. With that finished, the interior was installed. New green carpet and original Sahara seats. These seats came from Jack. They're about 30 years old now, but he had them cleaned up some and some stitching fixed and some padding replaced. So all in all, they look as good or better than most of the Sahara seats that are out on the road now. Final details like the whip antenna and some stickers were installed. Like these updated press decals for the seatbelts. It's a little but amazing detail. And then the Jeep was done. After driving back to Pennsylvania for the big reveal, I'm still awed by how much was done, how amazing it all looks, and how many little details Jack paid attention to. It looks like it came off the showroom floor, and I couldn't be happier. If you're looking for a build like this, I'll leave a link to No Limit Customs in the description below. I'll also leave links to the Jurassic Park motor pool resources and some other resources used to finish this build. If you have any questions about anything that you want to know or anything I didn't talk about, leave it in the comments below and I'll happily talk your ear off.